Some people are under the belief that you can succeed at something just because of the talent. And yeah, don't get me wrong, that might be true, but they also believe that without this talent, you can't succeed at this specific thing. But in her book, Carol Dweck wants to prove us wrong, or rather said in her book, Mindset, because that's what it's about, mindset. So what exactly does Carol want to tell us? And basically said, Carol distinguished between two types of people. The first group of people, she calls them the people with a fixed mindset, and the second group, the people with a growth mindset. And yeah, according to the names, you can already imagine what's it about. According to Carol, people with a fixed mindset believe that almost everything relies on talent rather than developing a skill. And if they aren't gifted with the talent to doing that one specific thing, they just can't do it. Or at least that's what they believe. Let's take singing as an example. People with a fixed mindset believe that you just need the talent to do so rather than practicing for it and developing the skill of singing. So all the singers out there could basically sing since they are born, and to exaggerate it a little bit, they could sing as soon as they picked up a mic. So basically when people with a fixed mindset fail at the first few attempts they do, they just give up and think they're just not born to do this kind of action. The growth mindset, meanwhile, thinks that everything, or almost everything, can be achieved by practicing and throughout work. The ability for singing, for example, doesn't just rely on the fact that you are talented and you're born with it, but because of practicing and learning, maybe even throughout years. And maybe you will now think that this kind of mindset is one of those work harder and stuff mindset, and yeah, maybe it is. But I figure it's pretty important though to internalize this kind of mindset, because in this way you don't have to be afraid anymore to try something new or to fail at this kind of specific action. At least I find the thought pretty relieving to know to be able to succeed at everything if I just stick to it, like learning a new language, for instance. And because you don't have to be afraid of failures anymore, it doesn't feel embarrassing anymore to practice something in public, like practicing something with your friend in a specific action your friend is better than you yet. Because if you're just starting over, you're just starting over, and other expectations as well as your own should fit into it. The benefit of not being talented. Sounds pretty stupid, right? All the time we spoke about talent not to be the reason to be successful at anything, but work. But I want you to don't get me wrong. Of course, talented people do exist, and they can be successful, of course, too. But what you need to keep in mind is that being talented isn't the only way to succeed. In fact, it's working and practicing for it. And while it seems that there's no need for talented people to work for something, you need to though. But once you reach the level of a talented person, it's very likely you will overtake him just because of your habit to work on it. Meanwhile, it's very likely for the talented person to stick at its level because he just doesn't know better. So maybe you shouldn't be grateful for doing something right at the very beginning. But of course, if you're working on your skills, although you're already talented on it, then the result will be even greater, of course. One example that Carol mentioned in her book is the repercussion that the fixed mindset has on employees. Not because of the employees sticking to their current skill level and don't want to change their opinion, but because their boss is expecting too much from them at the very beginning. Because of course everyone wants to do a great job, and it's very normal for people to get familiar with their work at the beginning first. In other words, they probably won't do such a great job right away as they could later on. And if the boss judges them right from the beginning, it's very unlikely for them confessing their failures and learning from it. Instead, they pretend being good at the job already, although in reality they don't. And of course, in the long term, that won't be as effective as it could be. Now that we all changed our mindset to a growth mindset, we are now able to do everything, right? No, but we are able to do almost everything. Although talent doesn't have to limit us, we are of course all born different. Some of us might be taller than the other, which can be beneficial for playing basketball, for instance. When it comes to singing, probably most of us won't ever sound like Freddie Mercury just because our voices are different, and that's not something bad at all. Actually, it's something good because that's what makes us individual. Nevertheless, at most of the things you can get very far just by doing and practicing them. With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you still got time, then please consider to hit subscribe or even write a comment. That would mean a lot. Thanks.